Welcome back to another edition of Card Authority, Melbourne Cup Eve. Oh, Jakes. You spent literally 3 hours playing with that camera today.
And I still wasn't happy
Wow.
at the point that we started the stream. But now I'm happy.
All right, welcome
Now
everyone to
I
Card
am
Authority. Happy. Fantastic to be here on a Monday night. We're in freedom here in Melbourne. Freedom. Jakes, how are you, sir?
It's been the first week of freedom.
It's been weird.
It's been a bit strange, a bit of a strange.
I went to Bunnings yesterday, and it's like, fuck, who are all these people?
Yeah, where did all these people come from?
It was a bit bizarre.
The weather's been pretty good as well, so that's always helps. But it's been good out there, and it's been good out there in Cardland as well.
Absolutely, and the weather has been good. And you know, I guess the true sign that we know that I guess it's hot is the Minx just rocks up in shorts and. He's loving wearing these muscle tops.
Yeah. For those who don't know, the Minx is a gentleman by the name of Matus who works for us.
Yep.
And he's got all guns blazing. He looks forward all year round to the hot seasons, to the sunny seasons. So
yeah, I'll let him be the sex symbol of RGB and Card Authority. But anyway, we digress. G'day, Pete. How are you, Cameron? Thank you, everyone, for jumping on. All the numbers are streaming in. Obviously, it's been a big couple of weeks since we've been on board. Things have started to I wouldn't say cool a little bit. Well, I mean, they've cooled a little bit with Optimum. It feels
stabilized. People are getting
stabilized. Yep. It feels like it's been sort of 5 or 6 weeks now since Optimum's been. Yep. Is it 6 weeks?
I think it's 6 weeks. Yeah. It's pretty much about 6 weeks since Optimum came out.
Yep.
And it's kept going full pelt really the whole time.
Absolutely.
We've seen all those usual traditional things that sort of take place around new releases, but we've just seen it all happen probably a lot quicker. But we've also seen the demand for the cards stick around for a lot longer, which probably is representation of how many people are actually involved in the hobby now. There's so many more people constantly coming in and looking for cards as well.
Absolutely. So, and we certainly notice when we do a lot of our data planning, we sort of look at it cycles and blocks, and we sort of allow for 2 or 3 weeks kind of for a cycle after release.
Yeah.
And we both said multiple times it felt like it pushed out 5 or 6 weeks this time.
Correct. Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's going harder, and it's going faster, and it's going longer, which is great for the sustainability of the community.
Yep.
And, as I've used the term before, the business of cards, whether it's breakers or hobby shops or eBay stores or whatever it is, everyone seems to be getting a longer run at it, which is great.
Yep.
G'day, Mason. G'day, Robin.
Hey, Cam Stevens, Pete Buchanan, welcome on board.
Glennie, Joe. Yeah, welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Optimum, as we've talked about on to absolute no end, is a fantastic product that, I feel like they've kind of even, broken the mold a little bit. It's going to be hard to match that in a Series 2 product again with the value and also what's in it. Don't touch the camera!
I have to, sorry.
Oh.
I feel like Select is definitely putting themselves into an interesting situation here.
Yep.
Because their plan moving forward has to be to keep along that same path. You can't come to the market and set an expectation moving forward of how loaded a product can be or how much value can be extracted out of a product in terms of the numbered cards, the structuring of the numbering and the sequences and the subsets and everything else. So it's an interesting situation, but at the same time, maybe they want to have that situation where 2021 was a year where a type of product came out that may never be seen again. I don't know.
That makes no sense.
No, it doesn't.
No, I can't imagine
people that look back on series. I think you can look back on certain series where card companies and especially Select did something a particular time around for 1 or 2 years and created something in a product that you don't see it then take place for another 10 years or 15 years when it gets reintroduced again. And therefore that series is historically valued a lot higher and has been more desirable, almost like a legacy compared to, say, Certified, for example,
Yeah, for sure.
Where Legacy is just so much more highly regarded probably than Certified, even though Certified has the influentials, but those Hall of Fame signatures make that series so desirable,
Yeah, for sure. Go Kevin, Shane, Kane Daniels. Oh, also Evil Breaker Dale from Cherry.
Yeah.
Hello, Dale.
G'day, everyone. Welcome on board. Shane, good to see you in the chat.
Yep.
Definitely, you brought a good rumor to the fore today.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that.
But you make a good point. But I guess overall, what we've certainly noticed with Select is that every release, there seems to have been a real shift 12 months
There's
ago.
a trend over the last
And
12 months. Yeah.
the bar of where they've done releases before across different series. So that even just, let's say, Footy Stars.
Yeah.
Footy Stars was relatively a low bar. This year, they raised it.
Yeah.
You know, Prestige, they raised it.
Every release.
Everything is raising. So
Every release.
if you can constantly continue to have that trend where they're adding, yeah, he's very bright, isn't he? I said before, he's got shiny skin, Gribbler. You know, if they can continue to raise and keep adding to a foundation, look, you're never going to hit the fence and swing for the fence every single time. But if you can keep adding and building to Memento, it's a fantastic thing.
Absolutely.
Which obviously then is a lovely segue and a pleasant surprise that we saw today, the announcement of Supremacy 2021.
So it seems on trend with what Select's been doing, an announcement for an announcement. It's an announcement for an announcement. So they did that obviously with Optimum. So it's good to see that again, and hopefully that gives us a bit of an idea as to structure and what's about to sort of take place here. So what do you know?
I mean, only what you tell me, being the owner of Select. But the short answer is not much. My best guess is that the announcement that we're seeing will be the video previews, and I'm guessing they'll use the wonderful Lynn Gilmartin again, and they will no doubt run either a day of previews or a series of previews. It seems like they're going along a little bit of a trend now where they're doing a day of previews or a session
rather than dragging it out.
Yeah,
they do the previews, the information, the on-sale details, the pricing details, and what they now seem to refer to as the dispatch date or the shipping date.
The shipping date.
The shipping date. So we've noticed with Select, they've transitioned from no longer putting out official release dates. It's now shipping dates. And I suppose that's probably conducive to how they release the product to market, the way product tends to work with retail, but also the SCC, which is, you know, really when anyone who signed up for the SCC, for the inaugural SCC,
Marty made a good one, and the checklist.
And the checklist, that's right, Marty.
Good call, Marty.
Yeah. So anyone that signed up for the SCC, I think at the time, the rationalization was, I will sign up for the SCC, so when the day comes that Supremacy comes out, I can get my box of Supremacy. Now, we've seen the huge bonuses and the huge benefits that people have already received from having the SCC, and I don't personally think it's in the way of the hat, but certainly in the way of access to both Prestige and then Optimum, just seeing what the perceived and extracted and therefore secondary market value of a box of Optimum and Prestige, where people have got their value in spades. Supremacy has very much become a big bonus there.
Absolutely. And I completely agree, Gribblo. The videos that now they're doing, and obviously, look, Lynn, you know, we all know, I know Lynn. She's probably a driving force at really raising the bar again. And that's what we're in
terms of the content and delivery.
And the delivery and the professionalism, all those sorts of stuff. It's absolutely no longer amateur hour, and they're really being, you know, the flagship card community that they are, or card publisher that they are. So absolutely. Look, you know, I don't know anything officially. You know, I'll send Jenks an email later on to find more stuff out. But I think best guess is we're going to know release date, checklist.
Pretty much the 13th.
Checklist. All the information is going to come out there, whether that means that it's a week away after that, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it might be. You know, we all know there's global logistics issues, not only here in Australia, but also internationally. You know, it might be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, who knows? But I imagine we're all going to have a lot of answers. And also, you know, there's so many rumors going around about, you know, what's the makeup of the series, how much it's going to cost, all those sorts of things. I'm guessing all those answers are going to be given to us on the 13th by Lynn.
And guys, there's obviously quite a lot of people on stream at the moment, so lots of rumors floating around.
And thank you, Danny.
If you do want to throw anything into the comments, feel free to do so, guys. Obviously happy to chat about it. You know, I might even kick it off here. One of the early rumors about this release, and I do believe it's confirmed because we saw photos and the photos were leaked all over the place a couple of months ago, is that Josh Dacos is a franchise future signature for Collingwood, which is already a huge, that's huge. Like for Collingwood, obviously we know the Dacos name, the Dacos brand, and the Diakos aspect of Dacos and everything that goes with it. Is that to you already showing a sign that it's very well thought out and It's not something that was, say, working 2 years in advance necessarily here. It's probably something that's been more developed over the last maybe 6 to 9 months.
Look, my gut feeling is probably not 6 to 9 months,
Okay.
only because we all know, and we've talked about this on end, the logistics of doing things.
Yeah.
You know, if Josh Dacos was signing things at the start of the year, which is when that picture came out, and I'm just hearing here, Squid from Supreme Breaks is saying that Zach Butters confirmed franchise future as well.
Yeah, so Zach Butters confirmed for the franchise
So straight away, and I saw somewhere too today, maybe that one of the Brisbane guys, I can't remember who it was, Zach Bailey, maybe, that I saw that on a thread somewhere, might be one of the Brisbane signatures.
Yeah.
So already right there, if those three, we know Dacos is right.
Yeah.
You know, that's 3 fantastic ticks for player selection. Yeah. And, you know, clearly they named Dacos in the marquees for Footy Stars this year.
That's right.
I felt actually the marquees were really good this year for Footy Stars.
Yeah.
They nailed the kids, which they would have done in 6 months earlier.
Yeah.
So even if they've started to put this set together 12 months ago, clearly already the player selection is going to be sharp, but we're not going to know that till the final checklist comes through.
Yeah.
Okay, well, here's another rumor that's come through, which we have heard this one from Burn. I'm hearing 5 cards, $350. Is that right? We've heard that rumor too.
Yeah, that rumor seems to have done the rounds for a little while.
Yeah,
at least the last couple of months, that they were going to reduce the amount of cards per box, lower the price point of the box, which would increase the overall price and therefore increase the amount of boxes. I don't know. I'm interested to see. I don't think that is necessarily the right thing to do. I think, if anything, maintain consistency with what people are getting out of the product. So those who opened it, and I was one of those people that was fortunate enough in 2019 to open a bit of Supremacy.
Yep.
I would hate to have it watered down. I've got no issue seeing other products that are, you know, brilliance type of products or heritage type of products, which are 1 or 2 per package. But I really think a precedent was set. So I'd like to see that continued. Obviously, time will tell.
Well, I could see there's 2 trains of thought, and that's just my guess, is that you either keep things consistent, which they have a trend of continuing to be consistent, or you deal with market demand, which is the only way we can create more boxes is by altering something like that idea of 5 cards, $350. My gut feeling is I agree with you.
I just don't think
it'll stay traditional.
Yeah, the rumor has circulated a lot. I don't think it's certainly an unconfirmed rumor at this point.
Tyrone's here saying, is it 10 cards at $600 a box? A decent guess or too low? I mean, the price is as good a guess as ours. I think it was $500 a box last time.
So it was $500 last time a box, but we're talking about a totally different time period.
Yeah.
So
and prices have moved for all the releases.
Prices have moved in terms of singles growth, but also the boxes growth in terms of value of boxes, and also I think the willingness for people to pay a little bit more. We saw an increase in the box price of Optimum, and a lower volume of packets, but we saw the extracted, what I would call the extracted value that comes out of the box, far exceed what you would ever have got out of a Series 2 at 36 packets anyway.
Sure.
So I would think that, look, the real structure and trend line behind Select for the last 12 months is they have a very, very good grasp and understanding of the market conditions, the conditions of the hobby, where the collectors are at, where the business side of things is at. And as a result of that, they understand the concept of numbering and short print outside of signatures is what makes cards unique. And we've seen that in Prestige. We've seen it in Optimum. We saw it in Footy Stars to start with. Supremacy was really the first series that started that trend off for AFL in 2019 because it was the first series where every card was numbered. So I would like to think 2 years later and everything they've done in between, that they know what they're doing here. They know how to create a product, and they know that the product people will pay a bit more because that's where the market's at. You don't want to undervalue the box either.
No.
Do you know what I mean? If you could open a box of Supremacy in 2019 and 2019 prices, you were getting $500 to $1,000 out of a box. Do you know what I mean? Everyone knows now, based on those values, you pack those same 10 cards back into a box and you open it now, and you're getting $1,500 to $2,000 most likely coming out of that box. So that's the reality of it.
If they did 6 base cards again, this is from Gat. If they did 6 base cards again, will they use a few of the same players from Series 1, i.e. Dusty? My guess is, of course they would. They're going to pick the players that people want and want to collect. I don't know how much crossover there will be in signatures, but let's use Dusty as your example. I would be shocked if they didn't do a Dusty base card.
Yeah.
There's
some great questions.
Yeah, I'm slowly going to get through these. Wayne Anderson here, are select only catering for breakers? Well, I would say this is probably the most non-catered product for breakers. I don't know how many boxes are going to get released, but at a guess, it's probably going to be like one per person.
I think 1 to 2 per person would be where it's at.
And there's going to be no wholesale. So, the only way breakers, and obviously
everyone
knows,
up the secondary market.
Is buying secondary market.
Yeah, which is certainly a lot happening of. There's no doubt about that.
Of course. And, everyone knows we are involved in a breaking business, but, 80% of the stock that we use for our breaking business, we've bought at double the price on the secondary market.
Yeah, that's right. And that's just the nature of it. At the end of the day, though, it's being fueled by what the consumers want and what people want at the end of the day.
Good question here from Dale. Will Jenks have a sig in that?
Look, Dale, we can only say rumors are confirmed when we've confirmed them. So that one remains unconfirmed at this stage.
We'll leave that as unconfirmed. Ramage won't be $500 anymore. What's your thoughts on the timing and being so close to Series 2?
Yeah.
Look, I think that this is just a guess. I think Optimum was probably delayed. We all know it was delayed.
It was delayed because they went.
It was probably a couple of weeks late.
You would think so. It felt that way.
And we don't know when Supremacy will come out. Is it going to be November? Is it going to be December? I guess we'll find that out on the 13th.
Yeah.
Generally, it's kind of a couple of months after Series 2, which will sort of be where it lies. I think it probably feels a bit closer because of the delays and COVID and stuff like that. Again, don't know the answer to that, but I think there is always going to be an appetite. And as I mentioned just before about Wayne, I find it highly unlikely that we're going to be able to buy 20 cases like we could in Series 1.
So here's the thing, and I think Daniel's point's a really, really good one. And I think it's a great question and it's a great talking point. I know it's been discussed a fair bit and it continues to be discussed release by release. The issue of fatigue is certainly something that there needs to be significant consideration for. And AJ and I tend to have, I wouldn't say differing opinions on this, but we have different rational responses to each other, more so probably AJ to me in terms of my thoughts. Because I have this real concern as well, Daniel, that if releases and things are too close together at a time where the price is continuing to rise, then the cost of engaging, so the cost of collecting or the cost of buying or the cost of engaging with trading cards overall becomes a more expensive proposition in a broad form, in a totality, I suppose, on what someone can spend. So that means the more releases and the shorter the intervals, the more pressure it puts on people. However, the counterbalance to that is exactly what AJ just said now and what he said to me privately as well when we talked about it earlier, is that the access to buy the stock first up, because the demand is so high, there's such significant limitations on it. So rather than someone going and spending the 2,000 or 3,000 or 1,000 or whatever it may be, buying multiple boxes of something or cases in traditional form, the limitations are now there. So people can't spend that money first up. And as a result, that they then spread the money they would have spent first buying singles, breaks, whatever else. There's no doubt it's more expensive now, and it costs more money to be involved in trading cards than what it did 6 months ago, 12 months ago, and certainly 2 years ago. But I suppose it's just adaptation.
And I would, and again, to sort of agree with what you just said in your summary, that there are so many more people that want cards. And yes, there's a thirst for breakers and also people to go in breaks, but also on a collector level. We know purely from our eBay store the amount of people that are buying cards that we do not know or have seen in any of the groups across the network.
Yeah.
There is this whole world of card collecting out there.
That's right.
And hunger and thirst that we just don't see. So,
and we've talked about it, like eBay is such a great example. For anyone who sells, I wouldn't even say a power seller, but anyone who sells a bit of stock, a bit of cards, singles on eBay, you would notice that 95% of the names you see buying cards off you, you haven't seen them across any of the Facebook groups that combined would have 5,000 or 6,000 people between them, and you just don't see those names anymore. Card collecting goes well beyond the realm that most of the people who are watching live with us right now are engaged in.
Yep.
So it's not
there's definitely a bubble.
Yeah,
there's a
that's right,
Facebook
it's a
bubble.
There's a Facebook bubble, absolutely. So it's not a proper. You can look at things even like Ozcard Trader, which have a audience to themselves that don't go anywhere else too.
Yep.
You know, you've got people on Facebook that are on Ozcard, but then there's people on Ozcard that are not on Facebook, and your Facebook credentials in terms of a transaction just won't stack up. So,
and the good point there from Daniel Inglis there, trading with unknowns has gone through the roof in my world.
Yeah.
And I would completely agree with that, Daniel. I've done so many trades this release with people that I don't know and I haven't dealt with before. And,
yeah. And trading has become more prevalent. And I think we said that's what we thought would happen as the price of cards increases to purchase and the box value pushes up as well. Well, the general thing that's going to happen there is more trading needs to take place, because if you're not getting the sale done, you're then getting the trade done.
Yep.
And we always talk about it's all good and proper for the price of cards to go up, but there's only so many people who can pull the trigger at certain price points.
Absolutely.
That, you know, without it being a really specific decision that takes time to make, you know. There's only so many people that when they see a card pop up for $1,000+ that they can buy it without thinking about if they can buy it.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps the market churning around and keeps it going and keeps it in check, you would say as well.
Yeah, I did hear there was another rumor here that I passed. Let me see if I can just find it. Cameron, that's a good question. AFLW instead of base cards would be nice. I mean, I think if they haven't put AFLW in this one, that's certainly in Supremacy. That could be a natural progression in the future. My only consideration of that is logistics for AFLW are really hard.
But could you maybe where would you go with it? Maybe you do a franchise, because you got to remember Supremacy consists so much of old content and historical content that's almost a franchise future is the only card that's looking at current and forward. So could you do a female franchise future?
Maybe.
Franchise
the only problem is there's still so much hopping between teams.
Yeah.
You know, look, for example, is it Taylor Harris, who, you know, has obviously that very famous kick.
Yeah.
She's now been through 3 clubs in 3 years.
True. Yeah.
So I know they would certainly not like to be releasing cards with different jerseys and Guernseys. But someone like Daisy Pearce, who has been with Melbourne forever and a veteran, someone like that, you know, there's no reason why she couldn't find her way into a Supremacy set at some point.
And you would think as AFLW continues to become more mainstream in society and in general as its own sporting, it will continue to get further representation across all forms of merchandising, including trading cards.
From Nick, seen a Ted Whitten Jr.
So we saw that as well. That popped across our radar probably, I reckon, 4 to 5 months ago, maybe even longer than that. So I'm going to call that confirmed as well. I would, you know, give a bit of a caveat here as well. When we say confirmed, it's confirmed that it's been cited.
It doesn't mean they use
the card in the release. It doesn't mean it gets used in the release. So, and we're certainly aware that all the card publishers, including the domestic ones in Australia, create a multitude of different product which can get used or not used for different releases.
Absolutely. PP Cannon, you're right. Aaron Phillips too. Sorry. Obviously, I was thinking on the fly here, but there's probably a handful of female players that could get named. But Aaron Phillips, she's, you know, similar status to Daisy Pearce. And look, again, we've seen the card signed, we've seen the leaked picture. You know, there's a fair, you know, I couldn't read what was on it. It was definitely something moments. You know what I mean?
And it looked like a picture of Ted Whitten Sr. with the card signed by Ted Whitten Jr. So maybe
it's both of them together.
So is there a father-son thing going on here or something along those lines? Ryan, I've seen your message. I'll call you after the potty. No worries, and I'm keen. Someone asked me if I want to go fishing tomorrow morning, guys. Not card fishing.
Your wife's going to be upset. Okay, let me have a look. Gat here with a question. As breakers, do you think that the much higher price of the product would have an adverse effect on the price point breakers need to offer the punters? It would push the buy-in price through the roof. Look, we've talked about this a lot of times, not only, you know, we haven't done Supremacy data yet, but Optimum, whether it's, you know, Prestige, all those sorts of things. We are finding as there is more and more demand for these breaks and more punters that want to go in it, and the stock is more expensive to acquire. A couple of times where we've predicted a ceiling would go, it has gone past that because
Yeah.
the demand and the hunger for the product is increasing.
There's also transitional people that are coming through with a different level of expectation, whereas traditionally people participating in AFL breaks have always been used to paying low price points. So there's been a really low threshold or a low price barrier as to where people could get to create the ceiling. We've definitely noticed in the last 6 months with the huge shift coming across from other sports and also the TCG, the Pokemon world.
Especially NBA.
Yeah, but especially NBA. The NBA people who go in NBA breaks are used to paying really significant amounts of money to get into breaks. So therefore, all of a sudden, when AFL breaks are costing between, let's say, 80 and 150, and they're filling really quickly, well, there's a lot of these new people who are involved there as well. So it's creating a new, I wouldn't say a benchmark, but a new form of acceptance, like a line of acceptance. I don't even know how to really describe it, where people's mindset's changing, but also along with that has to be the value of the cards. And maybe not just the value of the biggest cards, but what you can get overall. So again, we go back to that term extracted value. What comes out of a box of Optimum is warranted by the price point that people pay to get into a break, because it's not just one type of case hit that you're chasing to get a return above the value of your buy. And there's so much that you can actually get.
Absolutely. And even if you look at old Supremacy, there was obviously a few break pages that were breaking boxes of Supremacy. You know, it was $100 a spot.
Yeah.
So that shows that, you know, across 18 teams, $1,800, the boxes are costing about $1,500 to buy.
Yeah.
You know, the breakers are still only making a couple of hundred before postage.
Yeah.
But they snap sell. I can't see, and obviously not knowing the price of Series 2 Supremacy, I can't see how it's not going to be straight out of the gate around $100 a spot for a break to go into Supremacy.
I tend to totally agree. And we'll see once we once we see a checklist and get an understanding of the product we're working with and the price.
But even regardless of the checklist,
the reality is that's what it works out to be at the moment.
No one's going to have a case here, case there, case there.
That's right.
It's going to be one or two box limited.
Yeah.
The price to buy boxes on the secondary market is going to be ferocious.
Yeah.
So,
Luke James has said something really good here.
Yeah. Sure. Read it out.
So Luke James says AFL is becoming unaffordable for the faint-hearted. Not saying that it's a bad thing, but it's becoming only a hobby for big wallets. There's definitely a lot of people feeling that way.
Sure.
All I would say in rebuttal to that, I suppose, or something to consider around that, is when we first started the podcast a bit over 12 months ago, we talked about how immature AFL cards were as a marketplace compared to everything else.
Yep.
And both compared to other AFL sectors and other card-related segments and other sports, but also as an industry. And as things have matured, it is also the demand has gone up, value has increased, but so is the offering. So a counterbalance to that is, if you want to compare AFL cards at the moment to something like an NBA or any American sports product, for example, and there's releases there for everyone, and not all releases are affordable to all people. So the people who are buying NBA hoops and then maybe dig in and buy some Prism, for example, at a higher price point, are not going out and buying National Treasures or Noir or these products that are costing $5,000, $10,000 a box. And I think AFL, it's been so accessible to everyone for so long that people still are adjusting in their mind and adjusting to what's taking place. But the reality is, specialized products like a Supremacy or even a Series 2, such as Optimum, are not necessarily targeted at everyone, and people shouldn't feel that they can't collect if they can't get that particular release.
Sure.
There's still a $299 price point product. There's still a 1.5 series release, what we'll call a prestige, that is more of a hobby product with more excitement and more fun. That's only slightly more than the cost of Series 1. But we're all shifting in the way we collect based on what's taking place.
There's also, within every release, there's different subsets.
Yeah.
And in the past, where there was infinite stock around and basically at retail price or release price, now the demand is stronger. Everything we've talked about, you might not be able to go and collect all the dual signatures.
Yeah.
But you can go and collect all the specialist cards.
Yeah.
Or whether it might be, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
There's something for everyone. We all want to collect everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Unfortunately, there's restrictions of supply, price, all those sorts of things.
Yeah. Tim Wiggins, and that's Tim Wiggins. Exactly what Tinny's just said.
Let me read that out. You can't answer. You've got to read them out,
True,
James.
true. I forget that so many people are listening
Yeah.
after the show, not watching it.
With the growing cost of AFL cards, I've seen more people start to just target players rather than full team sets. I'm one of those people, and I think that's spot on, Tim. That's a little bit of the NBA psyche coming across too.
Yeah.
There's so many people that might collect LeBron.
Yeah.
Or collect Lillard or whoever it is, but they don't go and collect all of the Lakers or all of, I don't know.
Yeah, it's in a different way. And we've always talked about traditionally AFL collecting is majority team collectors.
Yeah.
And it could be team subset collectors or team master set collectors, or, everyone varies in the way they do things. And again, I think over time, everyone just needs to learn to be adapting on an ongoing basis to what's taking place. Collect what you can afford to collect,
what you enjoy,
and what you enjoy.
Yep.
What don't go beyond your means. There's all these aspects that apply to regular everyday life should be applied in trading cards.
And as we've said many times, the market is shifting. Select have made really strong moves in making sure more product is getting direct to the people.
Yeah.
That means more product is being opened. There's more singles to buy. There's breaks to go into. There's more stores you can buy stuff from. There's so many more opportunities to get the stock, whereas in the past, that just wasn't possible.
Yeah. And I suppose that probably, again, goes back. I did want to say something earlier, and it slipped my mind when Wayne Anderson commented saying, are they trying to make product to cater to certain aspects, and in that case, breakers? I think, Select has certainly disclosed publicly, if not in words, by their actions over the last couple of years, that everything they're trying to do in terms of their distribution and disbursement model ultimately is lending to the notion of wanting to get the cards into the hands of collectors as easily and as fast as can be done.
Yep, agree.
That's their intention. What happens to the prices of those cards? I'm not sure that's their concern at this point. Their concern is, how do we get it out there? And if that's a combination of going through bricks and mortar retail, which has effectively been closed for the better part of 2 years, online resale and online distribution, direct to customer sales through the website, traditional distribution models, news agents, whatever it is, they're doing it, or at least from what we can see and what we understand, with the real ideology behind it of whatever it takes to get the cards opened out of those boxes and packets and not put away. We want the cards in collectors' hands, in people's hands.
Yeah, and someone made a comment for it. It's too far up. I can't find it. That Selective ballsed up the distribution of Optimum. Well, I wouldn't say they've ballsed up. I think that people can collect and operate in the business of cards any way they would like. When you go and buy 4 boxes or 5 of Optimum when you got your SCC, it might have been their choice to open 2, go and sell 3.
And we've seen a lot of that.
Of course. And whether it's trading cards for boxes or selling boxes or whatever it might be, there are definitely some people in distribution channels that are perhaps not doing what they should be with stock, but, that's a Select thing to deal with.
Yeah.
But I think as a whole, the amount of stock that is directly getting into the hands of consumers versus what it was 3 years ago is daylight, absolute daylight. Without knowing the numbers, I think that's the big change. And Supremacy will probably see that, because being that it's not a hobby product, it's not a wholesale product.
Yeah.
It's going effectively direct to consumers, however many boxes it is, straight away.
Yeah.
I'm sure a few of the stores and a few people will get some stock, but I don't think anything's going to be at wholesale. We certainly as a business have not been told we're getting anything.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the other stores that we speak to are certainly saying the same as well.
Yeah.
2019 Supremacy was a bit different, where literally anyone could buy 20 cases.
Well, you've got to remember, it just shows, and this again shows how far the hobby's come in literally 2 years. Literally 2 years, almost to the day or to the week. Yeah.
Yep.
Supremacy 2019, 10 cards a box, $500 a box, case format of 6 boxes per case, 20 cases per customer.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I know of maybe 2 or 3 people that bought 20 cases, and 2 of them were resellers and 1 was a master set collector.
Yep.
Anyone else was buying boxes and not even cases. Like, if we could all go back, and I guarantee there's not one person on this stream right now who bought Supremacy in 2019 and bought a box or 2 that wouldn't say now, if they could get the money together to have bought 20 cases, they would go back in time and buy 20 cases.
Absolutely.
And that sums everything up.
Yep.
The cost of something only is higher now because you're competing against more people that want it.
Absolutely.
It's no one doing it. No one's creating the problem. We create it for ourselves.
Here's a question for you. If what we think is 1 or 2 boxes that everyone's going to get from Supremacy, what percentage of that, if you're an SEC member, you get a couple of boxes, do you think you're opening those boxes, or do you think they're flipping them? Because there's going to be huge resale value on these boxes.
So this is going to be the really interesting thing with this release, because if, as we expect, it's limited to 1 or 2 boxes, well, I think there's a lot of people that sit there and go, yeah, I'm not opening my box on the first day. I'm waiting to see what pops up, and then I'm going to
mailman.
I'm going to offer my box for that sick booklet or that card that I want.
Yep.
The urge, as we all know, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but most of you guys are sickos like me. It'll turn up, and you'll look at it, and you'll see someone else posting a photo of them opening one, and you'll open yours, and you want the thrill and the excitement. Because I think ultimately, and again, this is very much for the collectors, part of the journey of trading cards is that physicality involved in it as well. And yeah, sure, you can live vicariously through people doing it for you in breaks and on camera and all that sort of stuff. But ultimately, you know, if I'm getting 1 box, I'm opening my 1 box. Sorry, AJ.
There's Shane. A chance to hit the big one will have people opening.
Yeah.
I absolutely agree, Shane.
Shane actually, since Shane's on the stream, I know he hasn't dropped his rumor into the comments yet, but I think we saw it today. And yeah, so that's another one, and certainly on our rumor list. Shano put out today, and we've heard it before a few times from a few different people, that the quad sig for this release is going to be related to goal kickers, and Tony Lockett, Doug Wade, Gary Ablett, and Jason Dunstall.
Yep.
From our perspective, it's still unconfirmed. Although Shano's so sure, he said, take your money to the bank on that one. To the bank,
he says.
So we've heard from a few different sources. Unconfirmed, but gee, if that's a legitimate card and that's coming,
yep.
Well, that's serious stuff right there.
And Robert, yes, we will be talking about cricket, breaking cricket, selling cricket, all that kind of stuff. But
soon as we've got some of it.
End of November. So we'll definitely talk about that when we have more information. But yeah, that card that you just said, if that is true, I think I could comfortably say that's a bigger card than the Quad Coaches booklet.
Yeah, definitely, because of the representation on the card. We're also at a different point. So
take it to any bank, Anthony Gay is saying.
So
it's 2 people that are saying take it to the bank. Like, what sort of value off the top of your head do you think a book like that numbered to 25 with?
It's just
so who was it? It's Ablett, Dunstall,
Wade. And Lockett. Oh. It's huge for so many clubs and so many people. Like, as a Saints collector, I want that card because of the Tony Lockett aspect of it. Assuming it's going to be numbered to 25, like they were last time, even if it was numbered to 50, it's still such a short print for what it is.
Was it numbered to 50, wasn't it?
No, it was numbered to 25. Yeah, 25. I'm saying, let's just say hypothetically the production run increased. Or doubled in production or something. It would still be so desirable. I remember last time, so the lead up to Supremacy was some newspaper articles that came out basically saying this release of AFL cards could produce the first ever $10,000 card. Now, it was very public. We saw 1 or 2 booklets change hands at $10,000. We definitely saw, I think it was the 01 booklet at the time, the Quad Coach, changed hands for $10,000. That was in 2019.
Can you imagine what that would be worth now?
That's the thing. The hobby's grown like 300% since then.
Yeah.
It's grown really significantly since then. So what does one of these cards become worth straight off the bat? Well, you'd have to say it's got to be a 10 to 20K card. But again,
does anyone have the money to pay that?
Who has the money to pay that? And does that mean it reaches into a whole different marketplace? Is that someone who's buying high-end memorabilia that goes and buys a card like that as opposed to your average trading card collector?
And so then does that open up a whole new channel
for people coming into trading cards? I think it does.
Yeah, because
I think that's what happened in 2019 as well.
Yeah, so you suddenly have a whole group of different people that may not be collectors but investors, and speculators, and NBA is kind of ticked off the speculation part. If you have people now that are going to start using these bankable investments, that's insane.
Yeah. So Jace Cremona, we might pop that one up on the screen. That's a good
Yep.
point. So Jason, obviously a big master set man and also a big dealer, reseller in terms of trading cards, been around for a long time. Definitely knows his stuff, so we can rely on. You got to read it out. Jason has said, would not get changed from 200K for a Supremacy master set now. And if Jace is saying that, as someone who's actually chased down the master set, he would probably know, and he would know what the current valuation is, which is quite amazing, because I would have said, Jason, again, you'll know better than me, to have completed the master set within 4 weeks of release in 2019, you would have done it for under 100, probably well under 100. I would have thought maybe like 50 to 70 or 50 to 80,000 sort of price range. So
there weren't many cards over $1,000.
Again, so Jace, does that mean that Supremacy 2021, for the people trying to do master sets, is the expectation that you're looking at a $250,000 master set here straight off the bat? Is that where it's at? And if so, that is quite amazing to consider. Like, it's pretty mind-blowing, those sorts of numbers. But again, people don't realize the scale of money that's moving around in AFL cards at the moment.
Absolutely.
Our indicators were all showing, and just, here's a bit of market research, a bit of data for you guys, that from the day of release up until about 8 or 9 days ago, on average, we were seeing, between the visibility of the breaks we could see, the online sales taking place and peer-to-peer transactions, we were confident that there was roughly $50,000 a day changing hands for the better part of 5 weeks of Optimum cards.
Yeah, and that's conservative.
$50,000 a day moving around every single day.
Yep.
So it's, by the time it gets to the end of the cycle of release, millions of dollars have moved around. And that's one of the critical things about the microeconomy of trading cards.
Question here from our favorite YouTube follower, Sean. Hopefully the cards have a gold foil, seeing that the logo does.
Oh.
I mean, that's a good question.
That's interesting. And
we noticed in the artwork today that it was gold instead of silver.
I hadn't even thought about that.
Good work, Sean.
That's a really good point, Sean. That's a really good point, Sean. Yep. And is that then the differentiator of what makes these cards look different to 2019? So you can tell. So you can tell them apart from each other.
Sean.
Sean, I like it.
Do you own Select, Sean?
Yeah,
Do you own? That's a good
like
one.
It.
I saw a scary one here from our good friend Christian. Dusty booklet, can you take that to the bank? Well, I don't want to look at my credit card if it's a dusty booklet.
I have not heard that rumor yet, Christian. But tell us more. Show us more if you've got the inside knowledge there.
Absolutely.
I can't even imagine that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
a lot of people say that Dusty won't sign and doesn't sign anything. Rarely signs. So there's been a lot of talk of people shooting down the idea.
Oh, hang on a sec. Marty Davis, who we won't say where Marty Davis works, but
he's confirmed gold.
He's confirming gold foil.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So
is this a world exclusive right here?
So
Andrew?
Marty Davis, how do we say this without
Marty Davis sometimes has the ability to see player issue cards.
Very up close and personal.
Before the release takes place.
Yep. So
sometimes
doesn't work at Select, but is involved in the AFL.
AFL community.
So
Marty's confirming gold here.
Wow, Sean, you're right.
There you go. Marty Davis will give you credit for this. This is an exclusive right here now on Card Authority.
Yeah, nice.
Jeez, I hope you're right here, Marty, and we're going to get hung out to dry.
Yeah, Marty, this is all on you. Right? This is all on you, all right? Yeah, that's crazy. The quad will pay for some team sets in full. Well, not if there's a dusty booklet or what. I
agree with you though, Shane. But I definitely think team sets will certainly be more expensive this time around. I was talking to someone a couple of days ago.
That's confirmed. If it's wrong, take complaints to him.
That's it.
Yep.
I've been talking about it a bit over the last few days with people, saying that, remember back in 2019 when Supremacy came out, base cards, $15, $20, $25, maybe some superstars were going for $40 or $50 at the time.
Yep.
Now your average players are up in the 70, 100 region.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff right into the hundreds now. So I don't know. I'm excited. We've all been getting revved up. After Prestige came out, everyone was just talking about how they were saving money for Supremacy. They dropped the Optimum bomb on us.
Yep.
We've all been caught up in Optimum land,
Yep.
as we should be.
Yep.
Now they've given a signal to the hobby that what we all thought was coming is coming.
This is interesting from Tyrone. Interesting to see different foil colours within the set.
Interesting,
Tyrone.
So, what do you think there, Tyrone? Elaborate for us. What are you thinking? How do you feel?
Say someone says the squid there from Supreme Breaks. What's the blue foiling on a lot of the cards we've seen leaked? I haven't seen any of the blue ones. Send me a picture, Squid, offline.
Squiddy, show us a picture. But I haven't taken notice of the foil, to be honest.
No, either
this conversation, this pod is now got me very intrigued.
Oh, hang on a sec. Hang on. This is all coming out now. I know Franchise Future is definitely blue. Maybe they are all tiered colors.
Wow. Marty Davis, can you add to this conversation from what you've seen? Was it gold or was it blue? Because you're calling gold here. The Squid's saying blue.
Yeah.
So we can try by the end of this program work out what's
one of you guys is going to be right.
Yeah, someone's going to be right here.
Could be a death match here.
And the Thunderdome could be on.
Yeah, it.
This is really interesting, though, the direction the conversation's going. So
here we go.
Please,
similar to numbered cards, blue foil representing numbered to 25.
So you're thinking Tyrone parallels. So the same thing that we've seen, obviously, in Prestige, let's say at a really heavy level, but then we've seen the parallel concept applied to an extent, well, with the DPSs.
Yeah. So could it be like the white traditional cards when they're different coloured foil as the parallels?
Interesting.
Is that what they're trying to tell us here?
It makes sense. It would make sense.
All right, hang on a sec. Diakos. Hang on. Diakos Evans was blue, so work that one out.
All right, guys.
And then gold on at least one. All right. Everyone's saying parallels here. Parallel sets. Why have you guys been hiding all this from us?
What's going on? Why did it take 40 minutes for anyone to raise the idea of parallels?
Yeah, okay.
All right. So now it's all starting to make sense then.
Yeah, so why there be multiple coloured foils?
Is the parallels a proven method how you can create more product for people whilst retaining value?
Maybe.
And giving more value.
Yep.
Have we seen that with Optimum? Have we seen it with Prestige?
Matty Allen. Here we go. Maybe with different foil colours, possibly more boxes in Series 1. You guys are...
I don't know if they'd ever produce more boxes of a hobby set than Series 1. Series 1's normally like tens of thousands of boxes.
Yeah, I think it's like 60,000 boxes and like 6,000 cases.
So maybe it's a way to take what we would call a specialist set. So we don't we classify Series 2 as a hobby product.
Yeah.
I think to me, like a Brilliance or a Supremacy is a real specialized product.
Yeah.
Agree?
Yeah.
It's even more specialist. Have they found a way, based on what people are saying here, to take a specialized product but give it the accessibility of a hobby product?
I mean,
because I'll tell you what, people are talking about gold foils and blue foils. Someone has just said they've seen two cards from the same subset. One is blue and one is gold. Generally, if you're going to change the colors of something, you're changing the numbering and the rarity.
All I will say, photos sometimes don't do justice.
That's true. That is true.
You know, especially with foil stuff, you can get nasty reflections. But either way,
Series 1 Supremacy, he meant. Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
you're right on it there. Yeah, you're right on it, Matty.
Interesting.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, look, either way, it's going to be very exciting, and we've only got to wait. What was it, the 13th? So it's like 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks, before we can go and get stuck into it and hopefully find more. 54 minutes. We've obviously
Andy Booch. All right, Andy's dropped a little bit of a joke in here, but it probably gives us an opportunity to talk about something else.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
One of one Degoe
signed. Yeah.
Look, the Degoe situation is really interesting.
Yep.
Because what does it mean for Jordan Degoe as a player and for his cards?
Well, let's look at it instead of just a Jordan Degoe issue. Let's look at it as a broader thing. When a player suddenly has their career to a halt, grinds to a halt, which is very rare in these days, or a player jumps teams, what happens to the values of those cards? Because with Supremacy, for example, last year, a handful of the booklets that were there last year, those
in
players.
2019, the players have moved clubs.
That's right. So Danaher, Treloar,
It's a
Lewis.
It's a really interesting situation.
What happens to the value of those cards, even though they're still numbered to 25? They're a team colored booklet. What happens to those?
I think there's so many variables involved, but I suppose the big one is, again, in 2019, Collingwood was by far the biggest collected team with the highest value. Is the Treloar booklet.
Yeah, welcome to my life groups. 54 minutes and Jenks has spoken for 53.
I try my hardest, but anyway, what I was saying before AJ Free interrupted me there is that, so the Treloar at the time was pretty much the most sought after and the most expensive one to find outside of the quad sig.
Yep.
He moved clubs. I'm assuming that card, unless you're a new collector that's coming in to master set, or you're a pre-existing master set collector that doesn't have one yet, I'm not sure how desirable that card is for either Collingwood people who don't care about his future anymore or Bulldogs people who actually don't care about his past. Do you know what I mean?
So does that mean, say there is a DeGoey signed booklet in Supremacy?
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, things go pear-shaped over the next couple of weeks for him. Is that still going to be as a desirable card as it might have been 2 weeks ago?
I don't know. It's probably.
Have we ever seen a player movement happen before a card is released?
Yeah, that's right. So what's going to happen?
Because normally Footy Stars, the movement's already happened.
Yeah, so therefore, if DeGoey's cards end up in the releases and he's, let's say, no longer an AFL player, for example.
Well, if he's already the patch booklet, I mean, what are they going to do? They're not going to go and, it's being released in 5, 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we know it's all in the pellets out the back here packed up.
Yeah,
so,
of course.
Yeah. So Trent Cause has said something there that I absolutely relate to because I'm in the same boat as you, Trenner. Okay. So Trent says, blanket rule, don't collect any cards of Hawks players in other uniforms pre or post Hawthorn career. And I am from the school of Trent Cause because I am the same. My parameters for my collecting within my St Kilda Master set is not in other teams' colours unless it's like junior sides, Victorian sides or whatever it is. So Future Force qualifies for my sets.
Yep.
But St Kilda players in other teams does not qualify and St Kilda players in future don't either. So I don't have any Jack Stephen Geelong cards in my set, for example.
Yep.
I don't have any Brad Hill non-St Kilda cards in my set. Okay. I don't have any Paddy Ryder non-St Kilda cards in my set.
Yep.
I wouldn't mind a Paddy. I actually have a couple of Paddy Ryder patches because they have red, white, and black.
But would you get his booklet?
No, his booklet doesn't appeal to me. I'm scared that if I open that can of worms, it becomes too deep for me. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So that will be certainly something to watch because this is an interesting case situation that has never ever happened where a player potentially is not going to be around just before a release happens.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really super interesting to see what happens.
Yeah.
All right, we're at the 1 hour mark. All right. We've got unicorn hunting now. Now, unicorn hunting is a little bit different this week. As we all know, it is Melbourne Cup Day tomorrow. So instead of looking for a unicorn, I'm going to hopefully help you catch a unicorn tomorrow. It is Melbourne Cup Day, and I stress that, 18 plus, gamble responsibly, don't do anything silly, but it's Melbourne Cup Day. Everyone likes to have a punt. So I have come up with some tips because
those tips to replace unicorn hunting.
Well, I mean, that's what you call it, unicorn catching. I didn't ask Jenks for any tips because Jenks possibly is
the worst.
Well, no, there's the worst, and then there's
worse.
Worser.
Worse than the worst.
So we'll leave the tipping up to me. Oh. All right. So tomorrow, obviously, the favorite is going to be looking really good incentivized. You're going to get $2.80 or so. But there are a few promos around in a few places that he's going to win by a length or a margin. He had the fastest last 600, 400, 200 at Caulfield. He is probably going to gap them tomorrow. So he's probably pretty good if you can find sort of $4 for him. But for a bit of value, and I know Jenks likes a value, yeah, we might do some of those sideline series horse cards. But number 7, Delphi at $19.
That's my niece's name.
Yeah, $19.
Well, I'll have to get on that.
An international runner, Great House at $21. That's number 23. And number 22, Floating Artist at $13. So nice little trifecta of
Thank
first
you very
review.
much to Andrew from Sportsbet there. With the
So yeah, look, obviously gamble responsibly. I know it's Melbourne Cup Day. It's just a bit of fun, but we'll post these somewhere if you want.
And it does connect to trading cards because, as Martin Davis says, there's a set called the Sideline Series, which has a bunch of horse racing related cards.
Yeah.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen,
it's been a great show.
It's been a great show.
Thank
We're
you,
going to be
everyone.
back in the next couple of weeks. There's obviously more information is going to come to light.
Well, so
we're sure more leaks are going to happen.
Yeah. So look, we will. If we're not back next week, we will definitely be back on the night of the 13th.
Yeah.
Well,
100%.
We'll be back on the night.
If anything big happens before then, we'll be back for that as well.
Yep. So have a great Melbourne Cup Day. Good luck. Start preparing. Get excited for Supremacy. There's still plenty of great Optimum cards getting out there. It's a good time to build your sets while people are looking to sell off a few things. But be safe. Be kind to each other. Don't be shit. Have a fun day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Jenks, excellent as always.
AJ, you're just my hero. So thanks.
Thank you guys also.
Thanks everyone.
Well, great questions tonight. Fantastic. Yeah. And we look forward to chatting with you more about Supremacy.
And we can't wait to see where everyone's predictions and rumors and what we've heard really ends up in a
let's
couple
see
of
who's
weeks'
right.
time. Yeah, let's see who's right. Yep. It's going to be great.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great night. Ciao.